You are 19, flat on your back in a crawl space in Mesa, in July. It pays $18.40 an hour. 9 years later, the same trade pays $128,400 a year. He profits if it dies. The man on your roof is paid one way to repair your unit, and a much better way to replace it. And by level 5, he is not really selling repairs at all. That is the hinge this whole ladder turns on. This is every level of an air conditioning technician's career, and what it costs to climb. If you want to see how these trades really pay, subscribe so you do not miss the next one. We start at level 1, the helper. The helper earns $18.40 an hour, roughly $38,200 a year. Most of them are 18 to 22. You do not repair anything. You carry. You drag the old condenser out of the side yard and lift it into the truck bed. You sweep copper shavings off a stranger's hallway floor. You hold the flashlight, and you hold it wrong, and someone tells you so. When a house needs a duct run in July, you go up into the attic first, because the technician wants to know how bad it is before he commits his own body to it. Getting in requires a driver license, a clean background check, and the ability to carry 75 pounds up a ladder alone. Some shops hire out of Lincoln Tech or a community college program. In Phoenix, half the helpers on any given truck walked in off the street with nothing. A large share of the helpers quit before their second summer. Here is what nobody tells you. The heat is not what breaks people. It is the fourth call of the day, at 4 in the afternoon, in a shirt you have already sweated through twice, when the homeowner asks how much longer this is going to take. The check does not move until your name goes on a ticket. For that, you need a card from the EPA. The apprentice earns $22.90 an hour, roughly $47,600 a year. Most apprentices are 21 to 26. You cut and hang duct now. You braze copper, pull a vacuum, charge a system while somebody watches you do it. You still ride with another man. The difference is that you are being tested every day, quietly, on one question only: can you be left alone inside a customer's house? Getting in requires the EPA Section 608 Universal Card, a registered apprenticeship slot, and 4 years of night classes. Sheet Metal Workers Local 105 in Los Angeles runs one. Several UA locals run another. In an open shop, you serve the same years with no classroom, which is faster and worth less later. A meaningful share of the apprentices do not finish the program. Here is what nobody tells you. The 608 exam is not the hard part. Almost everybody passes it. The hard part is the 4th Tuesday night class in February, after a 10-hour day, in year 3, when nothing about the ladder has moved yet. The day the schedule has your name on a van instead of somebody else's is the day the money changes. It is worth stopping here to explain how a heating and air conditioning technician actually gets paid, because the hourly number in a job posting is close to meaningless. Most residential shops run flat rate. The book says a capacitor change is 1 1/10 hours, so you bill 1 1/10 hours whether it took you 20 minutes or an hour and a half. On top of that, most shops pay commission, a percentage of every repair you sell, and a much larger percentage of every system you replace. A technician who sells 4 replacement systems in August can out-earn a man with 15 more years of experience who sells none. Then there is the season. Between June and September, a residential technician can work 60-hour weeks with no gaps in the schedule. In February, the same man is down to 30 hours, running maintenance calls. This trade makes its year in about 100 days. Everything after that is holding on. That one fact is why 2 technicians at the same shop, with the same skill and the same truck, can finish a year $40,000 apart. The Journeyman earns $31.70 an hour, roughly $65,900 a year. The average Journeyman is 29. You get your own van and your own route. Nobody rides with you. You pull up to a house at 8 in the morning with a complaint written in 1 line on a screen, and by 9, you have to know whether it is a burnt contactor, a leaking evaporator coil, or a homeowner who closed 9 vents in the back bedrooms. Getting in requires a completed apprenticeship, a state license where the state demands one, and enough hours on gauges to read superheat without thinking about it. NATE certification is the one most shops actually check for. A fair number of the journeymen leave within 5 years, and most of them do not leave the trade. They leave the truck. Here is what nobody tells you. This is the level where pay stops tracking skill. 2 journeymen with identical hands, identical speed, and identical diagnosis will separate by $30,000 a year, based on nothing but what happens in the kitchen conversation afterward. The men who beat that ceiling usually do it by leaving the house entirely. Here is the part of the job a customer never understands. A refrigerant circuit is a sealed loop. Nothing burns, nothing evaporates away. If a system is low on refrigerant, it is not low because the refrigerant got used up. It is low because there is a hole somewhere in the loop, and that hole is usually smaller than a pinhead. The technician who sells you a charge without finding the leak has sold you a repair with an expiration date, and he knows it when he writes the ticket. 2 numbers tell him almost everything. Superheat, measured at the suction line. Subcooling, measured at the liquid line. Read together, they say whether the system is undercharged, overcharged, or restricted before a single panel comes off. And the fluid inside that loop has just changed. Under the American Innovation and Manufacturing Act, new residential systems moved off the old high-warming refrigerant in 2025. What replaced it is mildly flammable. New leak detection, new gauges, new rules about how much charge can sit above a small room. Every technician in the country is relearning the middle of his own trade right now. The commercial refrigeration technician earns $41.20 an hour, roughly $85,700 a year. Most of them are in their early 30s. You have left houses behind. You work supermarkets, cold storage, restaurant walk-in boxes, ice rinks. A rack system in the back of a grocery store holds tens of thousands of dollars of frozen product behind one compressor, and when that compressor drops at 2 in the morning, you are the phone call. You will spend part of your life inside a walk-in freezer at -10 degrees, wearing the same shirt you wore in an attic that afternoon. Getting here requires a journeyman card, a second layer of training on rack systems and controls, and a willingness to carry the on-call phone 1 week out of every 3. The Refrigeration Service Engineers Society is where most of that training happens. A fair number of them wash out in their first year of commercial work. Here is what nobody tells you. You are not paid for the wrench at this level. You are paid for 2 in the morning. Take the night calls away, and the number falls straight back to a residential wage. There is one group in this trade that gets the money without the nights. Before the last 2 levels, the part of this job that shows up on no pay chart at all. An attic is not as hot as the day outside. It is far hotter. Sun loads the roof deck. The deck radiates into a dead air space with almost no ventilation, and the temperature under that roof runs 60 to 80 degrees above the outdoor high. On a 96-degree afternoon, an attic can sit at 150. Your body has one cooling system, and it is sweat. At 150 degrees, in still air, with fiberglass on every surface and no room to stand up, sweat stops keeping up. Heat stroke begins at a core temperature near 104 degrees. The dangerous part is what happens before that. Heat takes judgment first. The man in trouble usually does not know he is in trouble. He thinks he can finish the connection and get down the ladder. That is not a warning written by a safety office. It is the most common way this trade kills people. The controls specialist earns $48.60 an hour, roughly $101,080 a year. Most of them are 35 or older. You carry a laptop instead of gauges. You work hospitals, data centers, universities, high-rise office towers, where the equipment is not 1 unit but 400 units tied together on a network. When a wing of a hospital runs 3 degrees warm, nobody sends a truck. They send you, and you start by looking at a graph. Getting here requires a journeyman card, a working knowledge of BACnet and network addressing, and a shop big enough to hold commercial service contracts. Tritium Niagara and Johnson Controls Medicis are the two names on most of those job postings. Hardly any of the field technicians in the trade ever make this jump. The rest are turned away for one reason, and it is not intelligence. The study happens at night, unpaid, 2 years before the raise arrives. Here is what nobody tells you. Up here, nobody pays you for speed. They pay you for being right, because the building you are logged into is running an operating room. That is one way out of the attic. Most men who make real money in this trade take the other one. On the 1st of July 2025, a 58-year-old technician named Matt Nelson took a service call at a house in Dewey, Arizona, north of Prescott. The outdoor high in the Prescott area that day was 96 degrees. The attic he was working in was over 150. Nelson had been in the trade for decades. He was an Army veteran and a grandfather. He had started his own heating and air conditioning company within the year, which means nobody sent him into that attic. He sent himself. He came down and he collapsed. His partner had stepped away for drinks and came back to find him unresponsive on the ground. His partner started CPR. Medics continued it. He was pronounced dead at the hospital. The cause was recorded as heat-related. There was no cited violation, no missing guard, no failure by an employer. A man with 30 years in the trade and his own name on the truck went into an attic in July, the same way he had 1,000 times before. The owner earns $61.70 an hour, roughly $128,400 a year. The average owner opens the doors at 41. One truck, your name, your phone number. The work itself does not change on the first day. You still go up the same ladder. What changes is everything around the work. You quote, you invoice, you chase payment, you buy equipment before the customer has paid you, and you carry general liability insurance and a surety bond before you have earned $1. Getting here requires a state contractor license, a bond, and the ability to size a system properly instead of guessing at it. The Air Conditioning Contractors of America publishes the load calculation the good ones actually run, and skipping it is the most common reason a brand new system is uncomfortable in a brand new house. About 4 in 10 new shops close within 5 years. Here is what nobody tells you. The number above is not what the owner keeps in year 1. A one-truck shop can gross $200,000 and pay the man who owns it less than the journeyman driving for somebody else. 2 things sit off this ladder completely. The first is the comfort advisor. He does not open panels. He arrives after a technician has written the diagnosis, sits down at your kitchen table, and puts a replacement system in front of you. In a strong residential shop, he is the highest paid person in the building, and he can out-earn every technician on the schedule. The second is the traveling industrial refrigeration technician. Ammonia plants, food processing, cold storage under national contract. He lives out of hotels most of the year, and he is paid for that. Which brings back the question from the beginning. What decides who reaches the top of this trade is not the wrench, and it is not the heat. It is whether you can sit in a stranger's kitchen, put a number on a piece of paper, slide it across the table, and not look away. This trade pays hands up to about $65,000 a year. Past that, it pays nerve. Helper, $18.40 an hour, $38,200 a year, and you carry. Apprentice, $22.90 an hour, $47,600, and 4 years of night classes. Journeyman, $31.70 an hour, $65,900, and your own van. Commercial Refrigeration Technician, $41.20 an hour, $85,700, and 2 in the morning. Controls Specialist, $48.60 an hour, $101,080, and a laptop instead of gauges. Owner, $61.70 an hour, $128,400, and everything else. A large share of them quit before the second summer. Hardly any of them ever get off the field truck. Every trade sells something. This one sells the hours you are willing to spend where the air will not move. Next, every level of a nuclear plant operator.